Back in April 1965, Ed Ames, who played Mingo on Daniel Boone, came on to show how to throw a tomahawk. He explained the technique, and Johnny was all ears. They set up a wooden cowboy cutout as a target. Ed threw the tomahawk and it landed right in the cowboy's crotch. The audience burst out laughing, but Johnny? He totally lost it. A director said Johnny was doubled over, tears in his eyes, laughing so hard he couldn't talk for like 3 minutes. When he finally caught his breath, he cracked, "I didn't even know you were Jewish!" The crowd went wild again. It was so real. Johnny's usual cool guy vibe just vanished as he laughed like crazy. People loved seeing him so genuine, and that clip got played over and over, even in Johnny's last week on the show in 1992. Johnny was super picky about his desk setup, especially his favorite wooden cigarette box. So when Don Rickles guest hosted in October 1973 and accidentally broke it, he knew he was in for it. The next night, Johnny showed the broken box to the audience and jokingly promised to get back at Don. A few months later, Johnny found out Don was filming his sitcom CPO Sharky nearby. During a break, Johnny grabbed some cameras and crashed Don's set. Don, in his Navy uniform, looked shocked as Johnny stormed in, yelling about the broken box. Don stammered, "Sorry about the box," and Johnny shot back, "I don't care about your scene." It was hilarious, but you could tell they were buddies. Their real friendship made it so fun, and Johnny let Don make him the punchline, which he didn't do with just anyone. Bette Midler makes Johnny cry. As Johnny's 30-year run ended in May 1992, things got emotional. On his second-to-last show, Bette Midler was a guest. She was joking around, but then she said she wanted to sing something special for Johnny. She started singing "One for My Baby" and "One More for the Road," a super heartfelt song about goodbyes. As she sang right to him, the camera caught Johnny with tears in his eyes. A sound guy said the studio was dead quiet. Everyone knew this was a big moment. Johnny, who always kept his feelings private, let himself be vulnerable. He didn't crack a joke to lighten the mood, he just kissed Bette's hand and said, "I can't top that." It was such a real, touching moment, showing Johnny saying goodbye to his career. Animal handler's monkey climbs Johnny's head. Johnny had to. Tons of animal guests on the show, and things could get wild. In 1979, animal handler Joanne Steele brought a capuchin monkey. She was explaining its habits when out of nowhere the monkey jumped onto Johnny's head. It started messing up his perfect hair, which was a big deal since Johnny's hair was always flawless. A camera guy said the monkey went from calm to treating Johnny's head like a playground in seconds. Johnny didn't freak out. He just sat there with a funny, "oh well" look while the monkey went to town. When it finally stopped, he looked at the camera, hair all over the place, and said, "And this, gentlemen, is why I prefer cats." The audience loved it because Johnny stayed chill and made it hilarious. Steve Martin's wacky magic routine. In 1980, Steve Martin was known for his super weird comedy. He came on and said he'd do a magic act, so Johnny let him take the stage. Steve's Great Flydini routine was bonkers. He pretended to pull stuff like eggs, a salt shaker, and even a tiny hand out of his pants. Johnny started out playing it straight, but as Steve got crazier, Johnny couldn't hold it together. A writer said Johnny was laughing so hard he was doubled over, not faking it. He loved how Steve's weirdness caught him off guard. After, Johnny told a producer, "That's the kind of thing that makes this job worth doing." It showed how much Johnny enjoyed being surprised by a guest's wild creativity. Robin Williams Taw. When Robin Williams came on, the show turned into total chaos. His crazy energy and super-fast improv made it impossible to stick to the usual format. A writer said Johnny called Robin lightning in a bottle. One time in the early 1980s, Robin was supposed to talk about a movie, but instead he jumped into impressions, hopped out of his chair, and turned Johnny's desk into his stage. The producers were freaking out, wondering if they should cut to a commercial, but Johnny just waved them off. He leaned back, laughing so hard he was crying, letting Robin do his thing. Johnny loved how unpredictable Robin was, and he'd even warned the audience to expect the unexpected when Robin was on. 7. Don Rickles roasts Frank Sinatra. In 1976, Frank Sinatra, a huge star, came on the show. Most comedians wouldn't dare joke about him because of his tough reputation, but Don Rickles, he didn't care. Right next to Frank, Don started roasting him, saying stuff like, "He's overrated." The camera showed Johnny laughing but also looking nervous, wondering how Frank would take it. A producer said there was real tension. Would Frank get mad? But then Don grabbed Frank's knee and said, "I'm only kidding, I love you. Can I get a ride home?" Frank laughed hard, loving that Don treated him like anyone else. It was a big deal because it showed even a legend like Sinatra could take a joke, and Johnny loved the risky live TV magic. Dolly P. Parton and Johnny's shocking comment. In 1977, Dolly Parton, known for her music and her curvy figure, was on the show. She and Johnny were joking around like usual, but then Johnny said something wild about her low-cut top. "I'd give a year of my life to peek under that blouse." The audience gasped and laughed. Dolly, being super cool, just laughed it off, but it was a huge moment. A director said the control room froze because it was so bold for Johnny, who was usually more polite. Fans wrote tons of letters. Some thought it was funny, others thought it was rude. Dolly later said she was fine with it, but it showed how TV was changing and what was okay to say was starting to shift. Bob Hope's jokes fall flat. Bob Hope was a comedy legend, but by the 1980s, when he was in his late 70s, his Tonight Show appearances weren't so great. He'd show up with old jokes about golf and politics, reading off cue cards and not noticing the audience wasn't into it. Johnny, a comedy pro, had to act like the jokes were better than they were. A writer said Johnny wasn't thrilled about these visits. Once, after a rough show, he grumbled backstage, "Hope doesn't listen, he just talks." One mid-1980s appearance was super awkward. Bob's jokes felt stale, and Johnny's smile looked forced. It was tough for Johnny, who respected Bob but saw how hard it was for a legend to keep up with new audiences. Jimmy Stewart.